That's so
It
neat.
smells
I
really
love
nice.
that they do that.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the tonight's May 12th City Council meeting. If anybody who is able to stand, if you would, for the Pledge of Allegiance. Starting off tonight's meetings with a couple of proclamations. The first one is for National Public Works Week. Do we have some employees from Public Works? Come on up here. And if you'd like to introduce yourself real quickly, tell us what your function is.
Dolan Kyle, Streets and Parks Maintenance.
Stephen Gaseljak, Public Works Streets.
These are the individuals that are partly responsible for tearing up my street. So, Ms. Gurley enjoyed that one, didn't she? Whereas Public Works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Bonner Springs. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of Public Works professionals who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our streets, public buildings, solid waste systems, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens and civic leaders to gain knowledge of and maintain an interest and understanding of the importance of public works. And whereas this year marks the 65th Annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association. And whereas this year's theme, People, Purpose, Presence, highlights three cornerstone ideas that motivate public works professionals to serve in their communities every day. Now, therefore, I, Tom Stevens, Mayor of the City of Bonner Springs, Kansas, do hereby recognize this week of May 18th through the 24th, 2025 as National Public Works Week in the City of Bonner Springs, and call upon community members to join me in thanking our public works professionals and recognize the impact they have in our daily lives to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. The next proclamation is for National Police Week. If we have members of our staff. We can go both sides. Chief or Captain, which would you like to let everybody know who's up here with you?
I'm Captain Kelly, Chief Naff, Captain Pate, Officer McKeithen, Officer Doan, Officer Lewis, and Sergeant Bargerstock.
Thank you, Captain. Whereas there are more than 750,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Bonner Springs, Kansas Police Department. And whereas this list includes Officer Leroy Dameron, end of watch, August 23rd, 1922, and Officer Maureen Kelly Murphy, end of watch, January 31st, 1986, both members of the Bonner Springs Police Department. And whereas 126 officers and 21 canines were killed in the line of duty in 2024. And whereas their names will be added to the names of 24,412 dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C. And whereas May 15th is designated as Police Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their families, and U.S. flags should be flown at half-staff. And whereas the services and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May 13th, 2025. And now, therefore, I, Tom Stevens, Mayor of Bonner Springs, Kansas, do hereby recognize May 11th through the 17th, 2025 as National Police Week, and encourage all citizens to remember these individuals who gave their lives for our safety and express appreciation to those who continue to dedicate themselves to make Bonner Springs a safer place in which to live.
Thank you, sir.
And give one for her too. Continuing with tonight's council meeting, next up would be the citizens' concerns about items not on tonight's agenda. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the mayor and city council on the record in the open public meeting. No immediate action will be taken on these issues in the interest of fair and transparent city government. All issues will be investigated, researched, or addressed as necessary, and with the consensus of the city council placed on a future agenda. Is there anyone who wishes to speak about any items not on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, we will go ahead and move forward with the consent agenda. And the consent agenda this evening is the minutes of the April 28th, 2025 City Council meeting and claims for city operations. Is there anything the staff wishes to uphold? Citizens, anything to be polled? Council? Okay, seeing none, I would go ahead and entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Reeves, a second by Ms. Blanks. If the city clerk will go ahead and record the vote.
Gurley?
Yes.
Reeves?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Blanks?
Yes.
McMahon?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, on to new business. Special use permit SUP 0125 for APAC Kansas Incorporated Bonner Springs Quarry. This did have a public hearing at the Planning Commission meeting, so there will not be any public comment taken this evening. I will go ahead and turn it over to staff.
Evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, Mark Lee, Community Development Director. We are here this evening to relook at the special use permit for the APAC rock quarries. Provided you staff report and lots of other supporting information. As you'll note in the staff report, it was revised at least 3 times after you saw it initially, so there has been some changes. We've increased the number of stipulations as well as addressed some of the public's concerns. We're here this evening to look at the ordinance to approve it. It's continued use.
Okay, is that it?
That's all I have.
Any staff wish to add anything at all?
The only thing that I would add is letting you all know what your options are, and that would be to adopt the recommendation of the Planning Commission by ordinance, which would be to, go ahead.
Can I interrupt you just
Yeah.
a second? I think Ms. Blanks wishes to recuse herself.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, and the community, due to my nature of relationship as the Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce for Bonner Springs and Edwardsville, and my relationship with Holiday Sand and Stone, I am recusing myself from this conversation and the vote this evening.
Okay, Ms. Fogan?
Okay, so option 1 would be to adopt the recommendation, which would be to approve the SUP. The second option would be to override the Planning Commission's recommendation by a 2/3 majority vote, and overriding would mean denying, and it would end there. Or your third option would be to return it to the Planning Commission with a statement specifying the basis for the reasoning for the failure not to approve or disapprove. So just the reason that you'd be sending it back to the Planning Commission, if that would be your choice.
Thank you, Ms. Hogan, appreciate that. And before we go ahead and actually ask for a motion, I will go ahead and ask if anybody has any ex parte communications or any other disclosures. I will go ahead and say right up front, I think most of us have received some communications from many of the residents that live up there. They have sent us emails to, I think, all the council members, as well as at the previous city council meeting during citizens' concerns, several of the residents, as well as Mr. Jones from APAC, all chose to speak to the council during the citizens' concern. Is there any additional disclosures that anybody needs to make?
No.
Okay. Seeing none, then I think you know what the options are for potential. I will mention to you, this is treated just like an ordinance would be, in that it does require either 5 votes of the council to approve, not of the quorum, but of the full council, as well as to deny it, it would require a full 6 votes of the full council. So with that, I would go ahead and entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the special use permit SUP 01-25, allowing for the continued operation of the Bonner Springs Quarry by APEC, Kansas Incorporated, with the stipulation listed within the ordinance.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Shannon and a second by Mr. Reeves. And we'll go ahead and start with a round of comments, questions, and we'll start with you, Mr. Reeves.
I have none, thank you. I've been over it already.
Okay. Ms. Long?
I have no questions. I just want to say that I appreciate all of the citizens who have reached out. I've read your concerns, even if they haven't been responded to, just for ex parte and all of that. But want to know that I sympathize and empathize with the concerns, and I also feel like APAC has done a lot to accommodate the requests that were initially made. We sent this back to the Planning Commission once, and I feel like we've landed in a place where there's not much more that the Planning Commission is able to do, nor the council, and this business, which has been in business for over 100 years, needs to continue to be able to operate. And I want to emphasize that if there are concerns moving forward, that you guys can come to us no matter what and bring those concerns our way. So that's just where I'm kind of wanting to comment.
Mr. McMahon?
I would just like to say, I'd like to echo what Ms. Long just said.
And I would, and I would also. Very well put.
That covers it for me. Thank you.
Ms. James?
Very well explained, Cassandra. Thank you very much. And I too want to appreciate and let everybody know that we did appreciate and the way things were handled. I know this isn't sometimes the best, but I think it's the best we can do at this point. But I will throw this out there that you will have eyes on everything that will be going on. So, and both ways, which I think is good. And I appreciate the way things were handled and the respect that you showed both ways. I know it wasn't easy. Sometimes things like this aren't. But anyway, we do appreciate it. And please, if there is anything, come back. Thank you.
And I would go ahead and add, too, that I do appreciate APAC and the representative from APAC hearing the concerns and taking time to have a public hearing to let the constituents voice their concerns to them, and having added modified a couple of the stipulations, added a couple of stipulations. And one of the big ones I thought was important was the setback from structures, and they increased that, I think about 250 feet, was it? Almost a football field length, which hopefully I think will help us quite a bit. So I do want to appreciate them reaching out. I also want to also thank the Planning Commission. It hasn't been easy on them, I know, and somebody made a comment about not getting, they earned their money. Unfortunately, they don't get paid anything, so they are completely volunteer. So when they donate, when their donation is their time, and I know it's hard to be sitting up there on that planning commission and having to make those decisions, but that's what they chose to do and volunteered. So is there any other comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, then I would ask the clerk to go ahead and call for the vote.
Voting on a motion to approve special use permit SUP 0125, allowing for the continued operation of the Bonner Springs Quarry by APAC Kansas, Inc., with the stipulations listed within the ordinance. Blanks? Oh, sorry. McMahon?
No.
Long?
Yes.
Wood? Yes. Shannon?
Yes.
Reeves?
Yes.
Gurley?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Appreciate it. I thank everyone. I know there's never going to be happy with the decisions we have to make sometimes, but I want to thank the council because I know it's tough sometimes sitting up here and having to make these decisions. But with that, we will go ahead then and move on to item number 2, a special use permit for the Country Stampede. Do you want to wait just a few minutes, Mr. Lee, and we'll
Do that.
look back. I think we're in good shape. Mr. Lee, go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Mark Lee again, Community Development Director. In front of you right now is the ordinance for special use permit to allow for the Country Stampede Music Festival to occur again this year. One of the, I guess, main changes you might see is it's going for 3 years this time instead of the 1 year. With the little to no complaints we had and little to no issues we had, 3 years seemed a little more manageable. And there's always the stipulations that if they violate regulations, the rules, the law, or the ordinance, that revoke or that special use permit can be revoked. So that's in there as well. Again, sorry, just as we did last year, we've sat down with the police department and the fire department and everybody, public service, whatnot, and you know, came together as a big group and kind of got our plan laid out again. It's similar, if not exact, to last year, so that's all I got. I'll be quiet.
Anything else from staff to be added? And this did have a public
Yes.
hearing at the,
Yes.
so we won't be taking any public comment at all on this item either. So with that, I would go ahead and entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve special use permit SUP 02-25, allowing camping during the Country Stampede Music Festival.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Gurley, a second by Mr. Shannon. We'll start down there with you, Mr. Shannon.
Thanks, Mark. Excuse me, wow, that came out wrong. Thanks, Mark, very much. It's always really nice when you have an organization that comes in and takes care of everything, and I'm assuming that's right, Chief? Yeah, good. No, but this is good, so thanks for all your hard work.
Thank you.
I was trying to find it again. Is this the same number of camping spaces as last year?
Yes.
And do they have plans to increase that over the 3-year SUP?
Not to my knowledge, and if they do, they will be required to come back
Has
through.
to come back?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for such a complete report.
Mr. McMahon.
Are we accompanied by any other law enforcement? Is it just us or sheriff?
Oh, yeah. There's
Yes.
plenty, yeah.
Plenty.
I can't speak to exactly who, but I know the sheriffs. I think the highway patrol's even involved. Not sure if Leavenworth County, but there's,
It's kind of like extra duty for other law enforcement in the area. No? Everybody in uniform or plain clothes or a mixture?
Billy Daff, Chief of Police. We've reached out to other agencies, and other agencies have been reluctant to assist. The Sheriff's Department, a lot of it has to do with finances and how they're paid. That's been the biggest obstacle we faced so far.
So given the history, do we feel like we're staffed or do you need to add to this number?
It's a challenge for us, to be honest with you, but we do a good job. The venue does a good job. The promoters do a good job of trying to make sure that we have what we need.
Okay. Do they offset at all any of the expenses? They do. Very good. Thank you, Chief.
Sit in.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Minks?
Thanks for your review, Mark, and to the Stampede team. I was a part of the PIO team last year and was on site all 3 days, to include when a pretty big thunderstorm came through. And I was very impressed with Stampede's team and their work with our law enforcement, and doing the recap meeting. I was, again, impressed that everything went very well, and it's very clear that their team does this day in and day out, and it's exciting for us that they partner with the community, and their goal is longevity with us, and continuing to grow this, which just brings opportunity and tourism to our area. So I appreciate them and their team for their efforts. Thanks, Mark.
thank you.
I have no questions, thank you.
No questions here.
Yeah, I appreciate the input, and I appreciate the question Mr. McMahon asked about the law enforcement. I'm just wondering if there are some things we can do down the road if it becomes a headache, that we can somehow work with our counterparts within at least the UG, for the UG, because they do receive a benefit from all those campers there. They will not always stay on the property. They will venture off to go shop in Legends and such. So maybe we can convince them at some point in time to offer a little bit of assistance, but maybe I'll make a phone call. So with that, does anybody have anything else? No. Okay, I would go ahead and ask for the vote.
Voting on a motion to approve special use permit SUP 0225, allowing camping during the Country Stampede Music Festival. Wood?
Yes.
McMahon?
Yes.
Reeves?
Yes.
Gurley?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Blanks?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, on to item number 3, presentation and acceptance of the 2014 audit.
Thank you all.
Mr. Lee. 2024. Oh, my apologies. It was misprinted on here. I'm just reading what it said. 2024 audit.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tilly LaPlante, Finance Director. Tonight we have Sean Gordon with Gordon CPA. They did the audit, 2024 audit this year, and he will make his presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Sean Gordon with Gordon CPA. I'll go through the audit report that you saw in your agenda packets. So we'll start with pages 1 through 3. This is called the Independent Auditor's Report. Here we discuss a variety of items, including management of the city and the council members' responsibilities for the city's financial statements. Further on down, we talk about our responsibilities as auditors. But the most important paragraph here is the opinion paragraph discussing the opinion that we issued the city's financial statements for 12/31/2024. And that paragraph is the third paragraph down on page 1. You'll see an italicized heading called Unmodified Opinion on Regulatory Basis of Accounting. This paragraph says that pretty much the highest and cleanest opinion we could give the city's financial statements. We did give the city's financial statements. So that reflects very well on the financial and internal control management by city staff during the calendar year ended 12/31/2024. Page 4 reflects the summary statement of receipts, expenditures, and unencumbered cash. Here you'll see in the left-hand column all of the different funds of the city, followed by, for each of those funds, beginning cash, receipts, expenditures, and ending cash. You'll see at the very bottom of that right-hand column the total amount of cash that the city is reporting on hand as of 12/31/2024, which you can see is a little over $30 million on hand. The next section forward is called the Notes to the Financial Statements, and this runs through from page 5 through page 12. Here we discuss a variety of items, including accounting policies that the city follows, followed by information on long-term debt, involvement in the KPERS and KPNF retirement programs, budgeted transfers that were made, and then, like I said, many items discussed in this section. For those of you that have been on the council for a number of years, this section is mostly the same as what we've seen over the past few years. There were no major changes required by the state for the 2024 audit. The next section forward is pages 49 through 58, and these are just more pages 13 through 48, and these are just more detailed breakouts of those funds that we saw previously. We provided more information on the different types of receipts and expenditures that took place. Also, if it was a budgeted fund, we present the budget column so you can see how a fund operated against the budget that was adopted for 2024. And then the final section in the auditor's report is pages 49 through 58. Anytime an entity spends and receives and spends $750,000 or more of federal grant money, that entity is required to undergo what's called a single audit. So for 2024, we focused on the KDHE grant that was received by the city for the water plant project. We also have to issue an auditor's opinion on how the city managed that grant program, followed federal and state guidelines and statutory requirements. For Bonner Springs, we've also issued an unmodified opinion on that grant program, which again is the highest and cleanest opinion we can issue. For 2024, we did not have any auditor's recommendations to communicate to the mayor and council, so again, reflects very well on the financial and internal control management by city staff. We had a good audit for 2024. We appreciate Tilly and all of her staff and everybody else involved in the audit process. They did a good job of answering our questions and getting us any information that we had requested, so we do appreciate that. With that, I'll stand for any questions on the audit report or the audit process overall.
Anything additional from staff? Is there any residents that wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, I would go ahead and entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to accept the 2024 audit.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Blanks, a second by Ms. Long, and we'll start here with you, Ms. Blanks.
No questions. Thank you so much to Tilly and her team for such a great audit. I know we're always very well, highly spoken of when it comes to our budget and our report, so thank you.
Ms. Long?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Mr. Reeves?
What exactly is our rating right now?
The debt rating. Bond rating?
Yes.
I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. We haven't issued bonds for so long.
Okay.
I'm not sure on what it is right now either.
Is that it, Mr. Reeves?
That's it.
Mr. McMahon?
I have no questions.
Ms. Wood?
We are pleased to report that no such disagreements arose during the course of our audit. Yes.
Correct.
Nothing.
Tilly, thank you, and thank you for a great presentation.
Yeah, I want to voice the same appreciation to our staff. I've been up here, like several of the council members have been up here for a number of years, and we've always been impressed by Tilly and her finance group. They have done a wonderful job over the years. So with that, unless there's any other comments or questions, I would go ahead and ask for the vote.
Voting on a motion to accept the 2024 audit. Reeves?
Yes, and thank you, Tilly.
Yes. Shannon?
Yes.
Blanks?
Yes.
Gurley?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
McMahon?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. I thought that was going to be a close vote here. Thank you also, Tilly. Appreciate it. On to item number 4. It's a contract with Electronic Technology Incorporated. And before the captain starts, I want to make sure that whoever makes the motion, read it, what's on the prompter, because there is a misspelling on the red sheet. So go ahead, Captain.
Captain Pate, PD. Before you tonight, we have a contract for Electronic Technology, Inc., which I will refer to as ETI to save some time, for the lease, installation, and support of Genetec Cloud Runner automated license plate readers to be installed at K7 in Kansas. In March, we presented a contract, an MOU with Wyandotte County. They placed the same LPR readers for north and southbound K7. And as a part of that LPR expansion program, we have sought out some other quotes through various vendors and have agreed with Wyandotte County that that would be the best fit for our city at this time. It would allow us some continuation services with them, and have received a grant for $5,000 from Walmart from the community educator, the community grant, to allow us to place LPR readers for the east and westbound intersection of K7 in Kansas, which would encapsulate that entire intersection with license plate readers. And I'm open for questions.
Anything additional from staff? Seeing none, I would go ahead and ask if there's any public comment that wishes to be made. Seeing none, I would go ahead and entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, staff recommendation to authorize a contract with Electronic Technologies, Inc. for the lease, installation, and support of 2 Genetec Cloud Runner automated license plate readers to be installed at K7 and Kansas Avenue with the allocation of $5,000 in grant funds awarded by Walmart.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Shannon and a second by Ms. Gurley. We'll go ahead and start here with you, Mr. McMahon.
Yeah, thanks. Kudos to Walmart and for their support, right? So exactly how does this work? You're reading plates, you have to have law enforcement at that particular location, and then it sends a signal, and then you're off to the races?
These LPRs would be mounted on the poles at the intersection, on the light poles, and will capture all the license plates that would go east and westbound on K7, or on Kansas Avenue, which would mirror the same ones that Wyandotte County is doing for K7. We don't have to be on scene. It's all electronic through the cloud services and would be accessible to any officer that logs in. So we can see it live time. We can also go back for 90 days. So should we have a major crime in the area or a theft from Walmart, for instance, which is the reason that they're supporting this effort, is any license plate that goes through that intersection would be captured, and we would be able to use that for investigative purposes to enhance, hopefully, solvability. So it captures the picture of the license plate and of the vehicle that that license plate is on. So should they give us a description of a red Volkswagen that runs through the intersection, we would be able to capture that.
Okay, that's and if Walmart has this information,
They do not. It's just for law enforcement.
It's-
Correct.
so
It's like a way for you to look it up.
You're capturing information, but how do you know who you're looking for?
So hopefully Walmart would have some description of the vehicle that the suspect got into, for instance.
And they relay that information to the police department,
Correct.
and then,
We would be able to go back and search through that intersection around the same date and time frame and pull up any red vehicle, for instance, that went through that intersection.
so it's basically a camera.
Correct.
Okay.
But a lot more complicated.
Simple minds want to know.
Takes a picture of the car and of the license plate.
Every
zoomed in.
car that's going through.
Yes,
And how long does it keep that data?
90 days.
And that's it?
Yes.
And it kicks it out? Okay. It doesn't infringe on any privacy of anything like that?
No, it would be the same as our license plate reader that we have currently on patrol vehicle, and the same ones that would be in our cars for our Axon cameras that capture license plates as well. It's only accessible by law enforcement, so it doesn't infringe on anything
Can you use it for anything in addition to that?
for any enforcement purpose, yes. So if there was a crash at that intersection, a hit and run, for instance, we'd be able to go back and pull that information as well.
Right, warrants, anything?
Potentially, yes.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Ms. Woods?
When I came here 50 years ago, there wasn't anything out there. You people have had to deal with so much, so many double lanes, and yeah, so thank you very much, and I certainly approve.
Is this the same LPR that you have in the patrol vehicle?
It is through a different system.
Do they speak to each other?
They do not. So the current one that we use in our cars is through LSAG. The difference is this is a cloud-based system that is removable by the company should this not be continued to be funded. So this is only for the 18-month cycle right now, renewable every year, because they're giving us a 6-month trial period basically to extend that. But it is the same system that Wyandotte County has already implemented at that intersection. So it'd be the same and would share our information with Wyandotte County. KCK would have access to that as well, and any of their partners.
Okay, thank you.
Heather, is there any correlation at all? I know you said, for police investigations, but they have the one on the turnpike that they can read that. Is that somewhat similar to?
Yes, similar but a different program, but yes.
Okay. And it takes the picture? Okay. Kind of curious. Thank you.
Ms. Mikes?
Thank you, Captain Pate. I think you answered my question of, so Walmart has special interest in this because of, I'm assuming a lot of the theft that they have.
Correct.
How did you know about the grant? I know you're always good about finding free money.
So we have gotten the grant previously. Generally, we usually get that for a lot lower amount for more of community outreach, is what they've typically funded us for. They also usually give us some of that grant funds for our Cram the Cruiser events. We've just reallocated that to what we believe is a better enforcement option for them.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that continued partnership with Walmart.
No questions. Thank you, Captain.
Mr. Reed?
Go
ahead. No, go right ahead.
This is kind of a side note or thought here. Has Walmart ever checked into maybe having a police officer on site?
They
Like
have.
they do at other Walmarts?
They do. For our Walmart, the loss is not great enough for the Walmart Corporation to fund anything like that here. We have
Which is good.
previously, yes, we have previously had positions funded while they've been closed, like over Christmas, for instance. They have no longer funded that because there's not the loss amount.
Okay, thank you.
So the LPR itself is not hooked to any alert system notifications, so if it sees something, a plate go through there that might be in a database that there's an alert for, or
It
doesn't?
is, yes, for the national system, NCIC, it is connected to that. So should there be a kidnapping, Amber Alerts, those would be notified. The only caveat is we have to be logged in to get that live notification. So if the officer on duty gets logged out for whatever reason, they're not going to get the live feedback, but it would be historically still there.
But not only our agency, but Wyandotte, the sheriff's department, so hopefully one of the agencies around here would get the notification.
Correct.
And then what would you say the percentage of out-of-town traffic that visits our community? Probably, what would you say, 80, 90% probably go through that intersection?
A
Would
significant
that be a
amount.
good guess or
Yes.
not? So
Yeah.
we're basically watching almost every vehicle that comes through the area.
Yes, yeah, with us doing east and westbound and them handling north and south, it will cover that entire intersection.
Great. Any other comments, questions from anyone? Seeing none, then I would go ahead and ask for the vote.
Voting on a motion to authorize a contract with Electronic Technologies, Inc. for the lease, installation, and support of two Genetec Cloud Runner automated license plate readers to be installed at K7 and Kansas Avenue, with the allocation of $5,000 in grant funds awarded by Walmart. McMahon?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Reeves?
Yes.
Blanks?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Gurley?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Captain. We appreciate the presentation. That takes us on to the reports. First up would be the city manager's report.
Okay, I just have a few things. A couple are already in your report, but I wanted to make note of them. One is the Memorial Day service up at our cemetery. That is at 10 a.m. on Memorial Day. Everyone is invited to take part in that. Second is if you still have your budget meeting goals and priorities sheet, please get those back to me as soon as you can. You can email them, you can bring them to the next council meeting, but I would like to have them by the next council meeting so that we can get those incorporated into budget discussions. We did push out some of our internal discussions just so that we could make sure that we have as much information as possible before we really dive in. So getting these to me by the next council meeting won't delay any of that. So just as long as we can get it by then. The next council meeting is a Tuesday because of Memorial Day, so it'll be on May 27th. In your packets also, there is a copy of the postcards that were sent out by Waste Management for the changes coming to the trash. Those should be in your mailboxes very shortly if you haven't already received it. And the open house will be here in our council chamber, May 22nd, from 5:30 to 7:30. It'll be a walk-in, walk-out, ask your questions, whatever you'd like to know. And we're also planning on having a couple more informal events at either our farmers markets or other events like that. And then lastly, I wanted to let you all know, because you may see it on the next council meeting or the first one in June, we are working with the county to for them to pilot a DMV office out at our city hall 2 days per week. So we're currently working on that agreement with them. It will be in front of you either next meeting or the meeting after that. We need to discuss a few things in the agreement, make sure both legal teams look at it. But they are looking at hopefully being open. I know that the first week of July is their target date, but I don't want to promise anything. So, but that is what they're aiming for. That's all I have.
Okay. Okay, we'll go on with council items. We'll start with you, Mr. Reeves.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Ms. Long?
I don't have anything this week, thank you.
Ms. Blanks?
I have a few things. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. First, I want to thank Megan Gilliland for her work on Makers Fair. Last Saturday, we had 105 vendors and had, I think, the biggest turnout we've ever had for that event. It was very successful. And also, thank you to Matt Beats for scheduling a public works person that day. And then also to Officer Kelling for joining us and sticking around. So we did appreciate that presence. And thank you for doing the farmer's market that day. I also want to shout out our Rotary Club for a very successful 5th annual Kentucky Derby party at the Fuel House. It was sold out within a month. We don't have numbers yet, but all the proceeds go to Von Trent. And then in honor of National Police Week and Public Works Week, just thank you to both departments for all the great work that you do on our community. Thank you.
Mr. McMahon?
I just want to give a shout out to Emily Blanks for all the hats that she wears. Lots of activities, right? And you are a professional.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, you bet, you bet. And I mean that too. The Makers Fair was unbelievable. It was like Tiblo-esque. When early on Saturday, I think Farmers Market was kind of wrapping things up, and there was a lot of people in our town spending money, which is good. I really like that, so I think that's great. And this is me, and I don't want anybody to be offended, but I think we need to, when it comes to our invocations, it seems like we just don't have them anymore. And so, and I know that they're still available. I don't know if there's a component of people just feel like that's not what they want and they're not signing up or what, but I miss having that. I think it's important to our community. But like I said, I don't want anybody offended. I'm just I'm aware of it, that we're not having it. So anyway, that's it.
Ms. Woods?
I agree. Yes, and I agree. Thank you for having all those things out there.
Superstar.
Ms. Gurley?
Do we know what the last week will be for large item pickup under our existing handshake with Waste Management?
It will be the final week of May is the last week of our service that we have now. Starting June 1st, we'll be under the new service.
So since we are a citywide Tuesday pickup and there's a holiday that week, it would be that Wednesday. Does that seem right? 28th. Okay, thank you. Something that I've seen mentioned on social media a couple of times, and I'm curious myself, is about the process to determining if an intersection merits something other than a stop sign, and specifically at 134th and Kansas Avenue. I personally see that stop sign run on a regular basis, and I'm wondering if we need to research a flashing red or something. I just don't know what those criteria are, or who makes that determination.
It would go through traffic engineering. So an engineer would take a look at it and usually do a traffic study in order to make changes.
Is that something that we as a council need to request if we want to pursue that expenditure?
There are a few requests that had to do with engineering, traffic engineering, so I will add that to the list and just kind of put all that together so you all can see what those requests look like and what they would
I don't want
require.
it to be a budget buster, but I was kind of curious to see what the options are there, because that is especially with the increased traffic on Kansas Avenue, if any of the builds in Leavenworth County take place, that's going to pick up even more. Two things I'm excited about this Thursday, is our Symphony in a Box, Symphony Music Box, where the Kansas City Symphony brings out a free concert. It's going to be at North Park this year at 6 p.m. Bring a lawn chair, come out, pick a spot. They put on a great concert. And then, still on the music theme, it's time for City Band. Our first rehearsal is Thursday, the 29th at 7 o'clock at the high school. We welcome everybody who has at least completed the 6th grade to come and join us. We'll have a rehearsal, but no concert on that night. The first concert is June 5th at 8:30. And then every Thursday through June and July, with the exception of the night of Juneteenth. We don't have one on that night. That's all for me. Thank you.
But Mark, I'd like to agree with what you said about Emily. You did. I remember, Jan and I walked up and started to say something to you, and you were just like, it's like a little squirrel just going everywhere. It was great, and Megan also and everything. Mark, I'd like to agree with what you said earlier about having an invocation. Amber, I took a look at like everybody did, receive the postcard, Waste Management, and being somewhat advanced, familiarization with the card was coming out. But there wasn't a lot of information on that card, and I'm afraid that it's going to confuse a lot of people. Do you have any recommendation? I don't mean to throw this at you right now, but do you have any recommendation as to how we can, what we can say to people? Because, you know, they didn't specify which trash can was to be used, and without, I think you know where I'm going with this. So I don't want to criticize them at all. I think this is a great opportunity, but, you know, people are kind of wondering. I had a neighbor ask me, well, is this going to cost me money? When are they going to deliver it? What about my trash cans? You know, these very honest questions and stuff. Any recommendation for us?
Yep. So the what about my trash cans? We're working that out right now. That's one of the final details that we're working out with Waste Management on if they're wanting to set it out for trash, what day they'll be able to do that. Of course, they can reuse their cans, but we have information together on our website. It's bonnersprings.org/trash. We're putting that on utility bills. We're putting it out in like our newsletters,
Good.
social media, our website, any way that we can get it out there. And I think on the postcard, it should have had that redirected website on there. So that's where the full information will be, because they could only fit so much in their tiny print on the postcard.
Yeah, I was glad they did, you know, and stuff, and, but I knew there was some more information.
Yep, there's lots more information. It's on our website.
Tag on that.
Can you what?
Can I tag on that before you change topics?
Ta-da.
I just noticed as I was looking for it on the website, our frequently asked questions is what day is my trash pickup? And it says our Bonner Springs pickup day is Monday.
That must be very old.
Can we get that updated?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Nothing else, Tom, thanks.
No problem. I won't stay long or keep you here much longer. Real quickly, I just want to also mention, kind of build on what Amber was saying about the DMV. I think it's important to kind of remember, because I've had a couple people, when you mention this to them, the first thing they say is driver's license. No, it's license plates, and it'll only be for a limited service for renewals. Won't be getting new plates, but at the current time, it won't be driver's license. And I think sometimes people hear DMV, and the first thing they think of is driver's license. So also, based upon things we've seen on and off over the years, I was thinking about go ahead and for citizens' concerns to go ahead and institute a 5-minute timer for anybody speaks, and we just do it consistently at every meeting. So I just wonder if anybody had any objections to that. If not, then we'll probably go ahead and start that with the next meeting. You want to give people a chance to talk, but if somebody goes on and on, you can't stop them unless you have that hard line timer. So 5 minutes, if everybody's acceptable with that.
Is this for the consent agenda?
Yeah, this would be for the citizens' concerns, that very first portion.
My only question would be, is like we had the fellow here that talked during that same time from the mining company.
He would have to have a 5-minute window, just like everyone else.
Okay, that's fine with me. I just wanted to check.
Yeah, so basically citizens' concerns, it doesn't make a difference who you are. If we set a 5-minute timer, everybody has to go by that same time, so. And just like Amber also mentioned about Memorial Day service, yes, if you get a chance, if you can make it there, we'd love to have you there. It's kind of a nice time to honor those who came before us. So with that, if there's anything else, I will go ahead. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Shout out to city staff for spraying the weeds on Spring Creek. They jumped on that early this year. I had some people in my neighborhood mention that to me already, and I went out and looked, whoa, they did it. So thank you.
Okay, anything else? Otherwise, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adjourn the meeting at 8:22.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Gurley and a second by Mr. Shannon. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Elvis has left the building.
Facts are updated. You can mark it. You wrote it down.
They started rolling out trash cans today.